So the first thing you are going to want to do with your group is going to be to tackle the group speech paper first. This paper is meant to be a place where you can bring all your thoughts together and really figure out how you are going to proceed with working on the speech. So for your speech, you have, I want to say it's about 3 weeks to record and submit your final speech. And I'm having you next Wednesday turn in your group speech paper. So this paper really has very little to do about research, what you're going to be talking about in the speech. It's really how are you going to work with each other? How are you going to communicate? What is your game plan for this? And then it does ask you to select your topic from the list, why you guys selected this topic, and how you plan to take a stance on it. So I also have a Word document that is going to be on this module as well that has this in written form, but I also wanted to go through it verbally just to make sure everyone had a good understanding. So you will just be turning in one paper per group. The paper should be about 2 to 3 pages double spaced, and I want you to include the following. What each member is responsible for as part of this project in a whole. So it could be you're all going to work on each aspect together. So for this paper, you all took a portion to write about it. For your PowerPoint or whatever visual you're using, you all were responsible for slides. It could be that you're all going to work together synchronously through Zoom and you're going to write it together. Or it could be that so-and-so is going to do the PowerPoint. This person is going to write our outline. I'm going to write this paper, but it's all of our thoughts together combining. So the big thing is if you do work to kind of divide up tasks like that, you want to make sure there's still cohesion to your work. So even if you are splitting up responsibilities, remember you're all responsible as a whole for checking each other's work and to make sure that it's saying what you want to say. The next thing I need you to include in this paper is a working calendar. So this is when and where you and your group will plan to meet to work on this project. Because of our remote learning right now, I would really recommend that you choose to meet via Zoom or Google Hangout, but just something more virtually. But I want to know your dates and your times that you have planned, and that each person, if you put it in this paper, each person has agreed to show up to those. Just as another way to kind of hold everyone responsible. And then communication plan. How do you plan to work with each other to be successful? I know you all want to be successful in this course. So how do you plan to make that happen? How are you going to work together? Also, you guys do have access to a group page on Canvas. I am really going to recommend that most of your discussions happen through that discussion board on the group. You can create a discussion board and it makes it easy so everything is one place. I'm also really suggesting that everyone does this because I do have access to see that. So I can see who's contributing and who is not contributing. This way, if any issues show up where, one group member doesn't really help throughout all of it, yet they show up and put their name on the speech, it kind of gives you a paper trail. It gives me a paper trail to see who did what. And these are some questions I want you to answer in your paper as well. What did your group select as the topic from the list that I'm providing, and how did you select it? Why did you select it? So answer those big how, what, and why questions. And what is your group's stance on the topic? You must select a side. And here I want to be very clear that it does have to be one side of an argument. This could mean maybe you feel indifferent, or maybe you do feel the opposite way. I'm not going to be looking at what you personally believe in or how you personally stand on the topic. I'm focused on the research. So I want to see what research you can find for that. And to be honest, it's less about you as the person as finding the research, because a good researcher and a good communicator can find research to support either sides of the argument. And then it's up to the person to kind of make their bet. I'm not giving you anything that's very controversial. But my goal for you is that you can find common ground with your group members. Remember we talked about early in the semester that with every argument, we can find some sort of common ground. For example, let's take a very controversial issue about gun control. You have one side of people who think guns should be banned. One people think you should have the right to have guns. What can both of those groups agree with? They can agree that children should not have access to guns because that's a safety hazard. Little kids can stumble upon it. So maybe it could be both sides agree that you should have your guns locked in a safe at home. So the topics that you're to choose from are kind of vague, so you can really choose what your angle is and what your argument is. So I really am going to push for you guys to find some common ground on that topic. Let me know if you have any questions about this.